Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Buyer's Remorse with Darren and Justin.
Hello and welcome to Buyer's Remorse. I'm Justin.
I'm Darren.
On Buyer's Remorse, we find games that are in each other's libraries, subject them for 60 minutes to see if the game is a wonderful buyer's confirmation or a dreaded buyer's remorse. What game did I have you play this time?
Morphine.
I don't even remember this one. I gave you this one a while ago.
Yeah.
What is Morphine? Don't tell me what it actually is. What's the game?
Oh man, you ruined my joke.
I hope that wasn't one of the 4 notes you had.
Yeah, that was one of the sentences I wrote here. Morphine is a kind of horror walking sim. Okay. So that's probably why maybe you thought you were being kind to me by giving me this one, but it does have mixed reviews on Steam, so it's...
Well, maybe that's why I chose it.
So let's just go for it. It's $3 at base price. It's by a developer called... I don't know how I'm probably gonna butcher this name. Karim Kumbasar, I think. And I spent a few minutes trying to work out like what country this person was from, because the English isn't great. There's a lot of like rough translation stuff. I was like, I don't know. I can't place that name. Karim sounds Arabian or sounds like Middle Eastern. And then eventually I was like, when you go to change the language, it's got English or Turkish. So I'm guessing it's a Turkish developer. And so, yeah, it starts off with like a little kind of cinematic sequence about like a boy and a girl. He's actually got a jacket that's got like the chemical symbol, like those. It's not like not symbol, what am I talking about? Like the little diagrams where they've got the lines connecting carbon molecules to oxygen molecules.
Right, yeah.
He's got that model, like the model, like the molecule model for morphine on his back. I don't know if it's actually the actual... If there's morphine in the game, I haven't found it yet. I don't know where the morphine kicks in. I did not mean that as a pun, but I don't know where that comes in, right? So let me just explain what it's about. It's a game that's about, I guess, high school bullying.
Okay. And
so you're a guy called Peter who is reliving hellish memories of school, of him being the school nobody and getting bullied.
So have you seen him as an adult then? How do you know that they're flashbacks?
Because, well, it's kind of like, or it's like some kind of dream world where he's remembering his day. Maybe he's still a teenager. Maybe he is. So it's like, over and over again, it's like the word loser is everywhere in every sentence. It's like every paragraph that you find bits of paper to read. And every time at the end of it, it's like, I'm not a loser. We'd read something on the wall, blah, 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 blah. I'm not a loser. It's like at the bottom of everything. Ted is his bully at school, so everything's like, fucking Ted, I hate Ted. And so, Ted is a dick. But it's just this kid who's reliving his bullying. Or maybe, I'm getting the idea that maybe there's either a suicide going on or something like that, because as you're playing the game, you'll get like the little beep beep, you'll get the heart monitor thing that just flash up on your screen. But that's what the game is basically based around, is a lot of jump scares. There's way too many jump scares in this.
Well, that's a win for me because I know you don't like jump scares.
Yeah. Actually,
it always surprises me how many horror games you own, knowing that there's always a chance that that's the type of game it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, I do buy them because I like the ones that have a good story and that are creepy, but this one is not creepy at all. There's like a Donnie Darko bunny. Not really a bunny though. It looks more like a donkey. I don't know what it is.
Well, it could be. They don't want to be too close to Tiny Darko.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it's like a suit. Like he's standing on 2 legs. He's got a big set of teeth. He got big donkey ears, but I thought it was a rabbit, but it's not a rabbit. And there's like a weird woman walking around with a severed head, but it's just like you just doing something and it's just like blah, Jesus, it's just loud, It's like I almost woke my kid up. It just lots and lots of jump scares. And in fact, it's got to the point towards the end of my hour. It got to the point where I was like, okay, where's the next jump scare coming from? So it's I don't know. It's a game that's from I'm guessing a single developer, and for that it's okay. But yeah, there are people out there who would proofread things for free, and I think I would. You know, someone said, "Hey, could you help me out? Could you proofread this and fix my spelling mistakes or my grammar mistakes?" Sure, no problem. It'll take me 10 minutes. Like, just go for it. But
10 minutes times 4 million. Now that you've just
advertised myself for every well, I would do as much of it as I could. Yeah, I'd like to help out, but
what does it look like, the actual game? Is there a color scheme to it?
Yeah.
Is there haziness because it's flashbacks?
I would put it somewhere between. Imagine somewhere between PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1 graphics wise, like old school kind of.
Okay, that's rougher than I thought.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, obviously, graphics on PS2 could be quite polished. Silent Hill-ish, put it that way, right? It's like.
Yeah, but which one?
Yeah, okay. Jesus.
But Silent Hill, even 2, looks pretty good.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, the thing is, when you get around those eras, it's, PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2, I kind of think... You didn't play the Soul Reaver series at all, did you? Like, when you talk about Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, which was very blocky and very polygonal, into the game that came out on the PS2, and just how much smoother everything looked. That's a huge gap. There was a huge gap between a lot of what they were doing in PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2.
Yeah, I don't know how to put it then. Early, like mid 2000 to 2010-ish PC graphics, like it's almost like, imagine just like the Unity models dressed up a bit. It's fairly simple. The areas are very linear. So like basically you start off, you're in the school, and so you'll be in the corridor, you walk down the corridor, read a few notes, get a few jump scares, go into the cafeteria. So one way that he's skipped doing anything interesting with the models is he's just like got them all grey. They all look like kind of crash test dummies or like mannequins, which you could argue is like, oh, everyone's just a mannequin at school, no one has any colour, but your bully, he's all decked out, so he's like the focus. And there's this other girl called Amy, which was pretty funny because she sits at a table opposite you like this now with her head in her hands, and she looks absolutely miserable. But in the dialogue, he's like, her smile always made me so happy. So I was like, she looks like she's about to jump out the window. But there's her, and then there's another girl called, I can't remember her name, Sally or something like that. But yeah, it's like, so this kid gets bullied, he goes to the cafeteria, he gets beat up, and then he goes on a school trip, and the school trip is like in the forest somewhere, and all the kids are around a campfire, and I've been kicked out of the group, so I'm in my own tent in the back, and I have to go around and find rocks and stuff to build my own little campfire, and then I eat some marshmallows, and then I go to bed. Eating the marshmallows is weird because it looks like, it just reminds me of Outer Wilds, like toasting the marshmallows on the fire. Obviously not as good as that, but yeah, the whole time I'm playing this game I was like, where are the teachers? What's going on? Like, no one's breaking up these fights, like people are food fights in the cafeteria. We're in the middle of a friggin' forest, and like this poor kid's being excluded and like has to go and build his own fire in the pissing rain. Where are the teachers? Like, what's going on? But anyway, so you wake up in the middle of the night and you go off and you go on this trail, and then that was where my hour ended, man. It was just like walking around, very linear, and reading a lot of notes that ended with "I'm not a loser," with a big exclamation point at the end.
Were you interacting with stuff a lot? Was there a lot of stuff you could just look at and get bits of text or voiceover or anything?
There's like posters that you can look at. I'm
thinking, like, have you played Life is Strange?
Bits of it, yeah. Yeah,
so kind of like that. You walk around and there's a bunch of posters you can look at, or...
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, imagine that, but like really toned down, like stripped back to like instead of a bunch of stuff, there's like 2 posters you can look at.
In a way, that would almost be better. I felt like there was way too much of it in Life is Strange.
But yeah, so there's the school level, and then there's I forgot the barn level. There's a barn. You're locked in a barn, and so the way that you open the doors is he's like, I can't open the door. So you find 2 horseshoes, and somehow that forms a door handle, and you can open the door now. And so you go around, and there's these weird mini games where I've got no idea what I'm doing, but it's like like a power bar going up and down, right?
Right.
And I thought, okay, I have to hit the power bar at the top to open the door. But that didn't work. And so I was like, okay, maybe I've got to hit it right at the bottom. That didn't work. There's a little line at the bottom near maybe 20% up. There's a line. I was like, oh, maybe I've got to hit that line. That didn't work. But in the end, what I did was just spam the space bar. Just rapid fire on the space bar, and that eventually opened the door. So I was like,
You hit the magic spot eventually by spamming the space bar.
Yeah. And so you open these barn doors. There's a lot of them as well. And there's
a lot of barn doors.
There's a lot of stable doors, I guess. Yeah, so you're in the barn, and there's stable doors that lead into bales of hay. And so, so you go through and you open up all these doors, and then you get to the last door, and it's like, oh, it's locked, I need a key. Okay. And then there's this big horse that's got a pitchfork in it. And so you got to pick up the pitchfork. It's like, oh, that's useless. All right, so I'm looking around. And then I can't figure out what to do. So I click on some other things. And then I go back to the horse. I'm like, well, it's got to be the horse. And then it's like, oh, this pitchfork would be useful. What? Okay, so I get the pitchfork now. So it's like the game does that a lot. It's very scripted where it won't let you interact with anything until it's the right moment to do it. And then what you do is you take this pitchfork. There's this really bad animation of just you battering bales of hay. And so you just hit them, and then they crumple like cardboard boxes almost. It's a weird animation. And then they turn into piles of straw, which you can then search. And either these weird worms come out of them. And he says ooh, gross. Or eventually you find a key. So you get the key, you open the door, you go inside, and then the donkey face guy locks the door behind you. And so now you got to use the horseshoe thing again to get out. And then you get to then that's when the camping scene is. But yeah, so it's a lot of following this dancing donkey around, it is what it is.
So would you recommend Morphine to me?
No, definitely not. Nah, you'd hate this. You would absolutely hate this game. I, on the other hand, will probably go back and play the rest of it because I think I have to. I just want to find out if there's a satisfying ending or not. Because at the moment, I've got nothing. There's no morphine. I know what it's about. It has the potential to be really dark. It could be ending up in suicide. That's my hunch. Or it could end up, it keeps on going on I'm going to have my revenge. I mean, it could turn into a bloody school shooting for all I know. So yeah, I'm interested to see if they go, what's the word? Not all in. There's a better word for it, but if they just go fuck it, we're just going to do it.
Have you looked at the playtime, how long to beat for this one?
I think I looked at the reviews when I was on the Steam page, looking at the mixed reviews, trying to read a few of the issues that they had. And I think it's about 3 hours. So it's not a long game.
Yeah, so you're about a third of the way in as well. So you're already thinking you're going to play again. Are you going to recommend this to our listeners?
I mean, this is the kind of game that's cheap and is good. It's a shame that maybe by the time this comes out, it will be getting close to October again. This would be a good, cheap, jump scary Halloween fest game to stream on Twitch or something like that. So I would recommend it for that, for sure. But as a game, yeah, it does everything. It functions as a game. It's not great, personally, story-wise and stuff, but I am interested to see how dark it gets. So I have to check back in with you on that.
Yeah, this may be a catch-up episode where we'll have to say, oh, were there any you actually finished? And we can talk all about Morphine and whether the ending was worth it or not. But it seems very much like this is the type of game where it kind of hinges on that and the direction it goes as to whether or not it really is worth it. So what 3 tags would you give this one?
I wasn't very inventive with these tags, to be honest. It's an indie game, so it's indie. It's a horror game, so horror. And it's a walking sim. So walking sim. The only other thing that if I was to replace one of them, it would be jump scare.
Oh.
Horseshoes. Yeah, the horseshoe tag. Yes.
Which tag would you replace with jump scare? I'm kind of curious.
But probably the horror, because horror is too general, isn't it? Like,
yeah, whenever you look at horror, you don't know, are you getting jump scare or are you getting something really creepy and interesting?
Because I'd like them to change the horror tag, or at least if they add it, because a lot of the tags now you get are like psychological horror. Like that, we need more of that, like double-barreled kind of horror tags, where it's like, is it jump scare horror, or is it psychological horror, or is it body horror? What kind of horror are we going in for? Because I personally don't. I like to play horror games, but just I don't like the jump scare ones. And I shit my pants in this game like twice now. And it's not because it's scary, it's just because it's fucking loud, man. It's like blaring into my ears. It's like they've cranked the volume up. Oh, and that's another thing. I was streaming this, and what I've noticed on Twitch now, from my decades of experience, is
decades meaning months.
Yeah, is that you want to turn down the volume so that you can be heard, and so that the people at the other end aren't going, "Oh my god, my ears are bleeding." So you crank down that volume to like 25%, so that you can still hear it, but you can be heard over it. There's no volume option for this game, and that's why, because they want you to get your ears drilled out by these bloody jump scares. So there you go.
That does not sound enticing. Given that you did play it for the hour, and that you do want to keep going, it wasn't miserable enough to keep you away, would you say that the hour was a buyer's confirmation or a buyer's remorse?
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely a confirmation, because again, $3, I doubt I paid that. I probably got it for a third of that. I probably got it for a single dollar. I've got my hour's worth, and I am tempted to go back in for more, so yeah, confirmation. Ding.